The Grappling Hour is brought to you by No Gi BJJ Gear. Use the promotional code GrapplingHour15 to save 15% off of whatever you put in your cart. And Dodgy Collective. Dodgy Collective, creating jiu-jitsu gear for those who love to train after a hard day's work and for those who live the jiu-jitsu lifestyle from their mom's couch. That's actually what it says. I'm reading it verbatim. Anyway, go buy from them. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Raph Esparza, coming to you live. Actually, no, it's not live. Just kidding. I am coming to you with a taped segment because guess what? Raph's got to go back to work, and when that happens, we bring you good content, just time shifted. You watch this at your own convenience anyway. We have a wonderful guest here. We'll get to him in a second, but before we go on, I want to give some love to our sponsors. First and foremost, our good friends over at No Gi BJJ Gear. If you use the promotional code GrapplingHour15, you take, what's that? 15% off of whatever you put in your cart. And let me tell you this right now. If you are so smart to take advantage of that sort of a thing, I'm looking for the convenient product. I didn't leave it here. All right. But just know there's a really cool Eddie Guerrero t-shirt that I normally would promote. I'm just not going to pull it out because normally it's not here. They call it the swap out in television terms, but oops. All right. Well, screw me. Anyway, also give some love to our friends over at dodgycollective.com. They are amazing individuals. They have amazing rash guards, artwork, you name it. Go buy from them, dodgycollective.com. All right, our guest here today. This gentleman has been making waves for a little bit, and I've caught some of his matches here and there, but he really got a showcase in the form of Brandon McCatherin's PGF, known as the Professional Grappling Federation. And when I saw Brandon was putting this together, I thought, well, that sounds interesting. My second thought was, how many weeks is this going? And how many times are these guys coming back week after week? I mean, I love the ambition of it, but for him to put this on and have rankings and very, very fun matches, it really made me proud that during the coronavirus times, we saw ingenuity and a true entrepreneurship. But as we get back to our guest, not only is he crushing it there, becoming the inaugural winner of the competition, but he also crushed it over this past weekend over at the Sapateiro Invitational. So why don't we bring on, for the very first time here, making his Grappling Hour debut, Elijah Carlton. Elijah, how are you doing, sir?
Good, man. How are you, Raph?
Very well. It is a pleasure to meet you, young man. How did Brandon talk you into doing this?
Brandon didn't talk me into doing that at all. The first day I seen him post it, I said, I'm taking all of that fucking money.
So when did you see it go up? And you mentioned that you were very quick to act, but I mean, this is a very long endeavor. So you got to figure that you see it pop up and then you're committed to this for a good while.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I knew I had to commit. I knew I committed the second I said I was in. I'm about like 2 hours and 15 minutes from BMAC, and BMAC's been one of my boys for a long time. He's really one of my coaches. Him and Sean Applegate are two of my main coaches. And as soon as he hit me up about it, I was like, yeah, man, I'm in. 2.5 hours, nothing.
So how are you passing the time during the 2.5 hours? Because I'll tell you this much, dude. I'm not a major competitor like you, but if somebody tells me to go compete, I got to drive 3 hours. It's not going to happen here, man. LA traffic ain't great.
Even just like a one-way, like just a one-time thing, you're not going to drive 3 hours. That could just be like 15 miles down the road for you.
Bro, yeah, number one, no kidding. And number two, I got to tell you, man, the idea of showing up somewhere, I'm more about convenience where I'm like, are you here right now? Because I got 20 minutes that we can do this. If you're not here right now, I got other shit I got to do.
Yeah, man. I don't think you have your individuals who are like rare specimens and stuff that are like, oh, competing doesn't get to me. Like I don't even think about it. Yeah, there's a few of those, but most people are lying when they say I don't go out there with any nerves, or I didn't think about this for the last day. Yeah, that's it might just be 2.5 hours, but that's a long 2.5 hours, man. You're just thinking. When I show up to a tournament, like when I pull up there, I'd rather like slap bump when I hopped out of my car and just like started. The more I'm sitting there, the more I'm just thinking about it, and it's just building up. And I'm like, what if this white belt submits me? What if I get caught slipping in this white or this blue belt just fucks me up? Those things get to you for sure.
Absolutely. But you're not putting on podcasts. Like you don't got some Joe Rogan to catch on, because you might get halfway through a Joe Rogan podcast with 2.5 hours.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just listening to music. I normally got a buddy or two with me all this season, man. One of my prize peoples, Blake Randall, he was in the PGF with me. So he just got his blue belt from a different gym, maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, but he started training with me like 6 or 7 months ago. And he was with me every weekend because he was competing in the PGF too, as I said. But so him and his dad were always in the car with me, and my buddy Luke too. So we're just listening to music, talking, just how it goes. I think I probably.
I'm curious.
I think obviously everybody has that anxiety before they compete, but I like to get that anxiety out of the way beforehand. I like to think about every single way I can lose, and in the most embarrassing ways you can think of by the worst people who shouldn't beat me. And then like when I get to step up to the mat, it's like I've already like felt that anxiety. I've already felt what it feels like to lose to somebody I shouldn't lose to, or get caught slipping in something stupid, And so that's just always been my way. I always just think of every bad possibility that could happen and go ahead and get that feeling and that thought out of the way so I can do what I do, and I step on the mat and finish people.
It's beautiful. I mean, obviously you had some real highlights over the course of the many weeks that was going on. I do want to get back to that. You mentioned music though, and now you're going with competitors and fellow folks who are competing in this style and this format. Is there a hierarchy to the music selection process? For example, if you say Metallica and the blue belt says, I don't know, man, I'm kind of feeling something else. Do you outrank them, and do you pull that rank? Or how does this work? Is it a collective idea?
My blue belt actually had his headphones in most of the time. Like every time Blake, he always had his headphones in. Most of the time listening to what I assume was his own music. Everybody's got their own thing, man. I don't think they even had the balls to even say something to me. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean? It's not like they're scared of me or anything, but it's like they probably just didn't want to be like, hey, would you like change this or play something else? They're gonna let me do my thing. It's I drove every time too. I wasn't even a rider. I drove the whole time, so I'm sure they weren't even questioning it.
That was my next question, because for me on road trips, I always defer to whoever's driving. And if I'm shotgun comes with a lot of responsibility. You got to put on the right music. So, the whole trip could be marred if you don't have a good shotgun. So I guess the question is, what is the most embarrassing song that you are playing en route to competition?
Okay. Most embarrassing song I play to competition. I don't know, man. I don't have a real answer for that. I don't think any of the songs I listen to are embarrassing.
Interesting.
I don't know. I came out to Party in the USA by who sings that? Miley Cyrus. I came out to Party
by
in
the
USA
esteemed
by
Miley Cyrus, of course.
Yeah, I came out to that into my first tag team jiu-jitsu match with my buddy Billy like a month and a half ago. That might have been a little embarrassing, but I thought it was funny.
I mean, listen, dude, it's partying in the USA. I don't know how you get more patriotic than that. So our best person out there, when Miley Cyrus is putting it down for America. I would ask you this, though. So I know that you have many weeks of competing. Can you narrow down perhaps the 3 best moments, in your opinion, from PGF? So if people didn't go out there and watch it, what are 3 moments they need to immediately go out there and watch?
That's a hard one too, man. I feel like I had a lot of highlight reels, and I face a lot of blue belts, quite a few white belts. Not as many purple, brown, or blacks, you know? So when I say my highlight over a white belt or a blue belt, and I was really proud of that, a lot of people will think, well, blah, blah, that was just a white belt or a blue belt. But I think some of my harder matches I had were against white belts and blue belts. But that being said, are you talking about a specific moment or just matches, like 3 different matches?
I love for you to kind of paint a scene, because I looked through your clips and I was trying to keep up as much as I could every single week. And there were some weeks where I just wouldn't see it, but I would see a highlight or two. And I think the intriguing thing about it is, like, when I see a white or a blue belt step up on this kind of competition, I have more respect for them competing than other people who cry for opportunities but don't take them. So it's not a matter of saying like, oh, fuck those guys. It's like, yo, they took advantage of it.
Yeah, mad respect to a lot of them, man. They knew that they were coming in there, and in the famous words of BMAC, that they were going to get fucking dunked on, man. Like, there's going to be some slam dunks that are happening in this PGF, and you see me do a bunch of them, man. I dunked on a ton of fools over the PGF. But getting back to the answer,
people,
yeah. So getting back to the answer, I think my performance against Mike Ritchie was great, man. I really went out there and tried to beat people at what they were good at. Like, and not even what they were good at, but what I was bad at. My wrestling's fucking awful. Never been a wrestler. Just in the last year, have I really like kind of tried to focus on it. And the last 6 months, really been working on my seated wrestling, like off of my ass. And I think I showed a really good version of what my game is and what it's evolving into with Mike Ritchie. And I had a few transitions there where I came up from supine to seated and like hit some ankle picks and some double Koichi sweeps that led in some ankle picks and some Ashigurami entries that I really liked a lot. So I actually I posted a breakdown of that sequence actually on my Instagram of that one specifically. If you ever get the chance, go watch that. You'll know what I mean. I set up everything off of some butterfly sweeps and got me into the legs. And I think maybe one time I used Ashigurami, just like some single leg X stuff, to come up and sweep and hit the takedown and come on top. And then one time I think it was a double Koichi sweep to an ankle pick that ended up in his full guard. But I really enjoyed those moments. That was probably my number one.
Okay. I'm going to give you a chance to think about the other two in a second.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask this, because you were mentioning that one of the things that really excited you about the opportunity for the PGF in particular was the fact that you got to try out some new shit, so that you said, you know what, hey man, I want to go out there. I'm sure you probably wanted to make a statement by doing a new game and a new evolution of it and kind of displaying that for an audience. Was that kind of the game plan as you were coming into this?
Yeah, absolutely. There hadn't been any tournaments going on because of Corona, and man, I was just in the lab. Like, I won't name who, but I had a good buddy. He's one of the best grapplers at 170 pounds a day. I had him come through for a seminar, and it was the first time I had met him. Somebody else linked me up with him, and he showed up at my gym. The day he was supposed to teach a seminar, it snowed. It never snows here. And there's like almost a half a foot on the ground that morning, and nobody showed up to it. It was just like me and a few people. But I had him. He stayed for like 3 or 4 days, and he gave me a lot of instructional DVDs on a USB flash drive, and it really changed my game. I really started getting into the instructionals and studying tape, and I turned into a different grappler. This was probably like 9 or 10 months ago, almost a year, probably 11 months ago.
Wow, that's pretty dope, dude. That's really interesting. So you were saying from that moment, you had this access to a treasure trove of new information, and you said, why the fuck not? Why not start taking some of this and seeing what you can implement?
Absolutely, man. And I think I think anybody can do that with those instructionals. The top guys, I think you can, if you've already got an established mindset for the game, if you watch these instructionals, man, it's literally just like the scientific method, especially if you got a gym under you. It's like you learn this shit and you implement it a little bit and you start teaching it. And even if you're teaching it wrong, even if like right off the bat, you're like, oh, why isn't this working? And you might have taught something wrong. Now you have a room full of variables. You know, you have a room full of variables that are like drilling it and doing it, and you're sitting back watching it, and you're watching what works and what doesn't work, and things are clicking in your head. It was really just trial and error. That's really all it is. It's like watching and studying, and then trial and error on the mats through like teaching it to people. And I really think I'm 100 times better than I was a year ago.
That's spectacular, man. All right. And I mean, I understand that. There have been a couple days where I've taught something to my intermediate friends or, you know, just around my group of cronies, if you would. And then maybe about a week later, I go, nah, you know what? I'm done with that. I don't like that anymore. I tested it out. Here's an easier way. And they all go, oh, okay. I go, the reason why I do this is
there's a lot of people who will be ashamed to be like, not want to correct their errors. They're like, no, I'm right. I'm always right. You'll learn real quick in the grappling game that you're never right, realistically. It's always something better out there.
The hard part is that if they know their worth, they might have tried it out and experienced something similar. So a lot of the times,
it's probably one of the best things you can do for your jiu-jitsu or whatever you're doing. Realistically, I don't care what it is, what sport it is to be like, all right, I'm not right about this. Like maybe I should be a little open to like different ideas and stuff. You know, I can't always be right.
I mean, I love the fact that when sometimes I bring him back, I just go, guys, I was misinformed last week. I know I said put the foot here. We're not about that life anymore. And I think that there's an appreciation from them that I'm not willing to bullshit them, that at the very least I go, listen, guys, you could probably do this wrong a year and then you're going to hate me. But now we're all on the same page. So that's my thing. All right, I need 2 more moments. And they don't even have to be yours because, again, I know it is very interesting to kind of condense a week or like 16 weeks of material into just 2 to 3 moments. But what I'm trying to do is I want people to understand what made this unique and special because, as you mentioned, during Corona, there were no tournaments. And Brandon's, I guess, genius was saying, hey, listen, how do I serve my community? And I think that's the best way to approach this giant problem with the most realistic results.
Yeah, I feel you. Where do you want me to start on that? Just my next 2 moments or?
Yep. Whatever you got on those next 2. If you've got one off the top of your head, that's cool.
I had a beautiful back take right off the bat on this kid named Noah. I think he's like 16 or 17 years old, but he's a solid blue belt in BMX gym and gives anybody a tough roll. He's a super, super tough kid. But again, I worked some always entering into butterfly and upper body, lower body transitions. I attacked his upper body and he postured up out of it and stood up a little bit, which led me to single leg X, and the reap led me up to his back. A little more seated wrestling stuff. I kind of came up off of it, just off of him turning away from me, and got to the back, and then I actually didn't finish on the back. As soon as I got on the back, I had it locked in. He ended up slipping out of it, but he turned into me and I triangled him. But that sequence from seated to just the seated wrestling stuff, like coming up off my ass to get on top or take the back. That was another good moment for me. I really liked that transition. And then my third one, I think I would have to say it was when I won the $1,000 at during the regular season, because there was a season and then the final tournament at the end of the top 16 people. But I had a match left after this match, so I could have won this match that I'm about to talk about and then lost the next match, and I still would have been the first place in the points and got the $1,000. So it was my second to last match of the season, and against a college wrestler in blue belt under BMAC, and I got him in like 15 seconds with a triangle. It was just real quick, real easy, and it was just a good good feeling knowing that I executed right there quick and won that $1,000. That was a 15-second $1,000 submission. So that was a lot of fun.
That's cool. What was the surrounding like for that final thing? Because I could see only elements of it. Did you guys have an audience? If so, what was the vibe like at that
finale at the end, the tournament after
finale,
the season was over?
Yes.
There couldn't have been more than 100 people there. The stage, I know you watched it. The stage and everything was set up really nice. It was a really good show, but the crowd wasn't very big. I think it was definitely an interesting night for me. There's a lot of hype on me and a lot of weight on my shoulders to come in here and do what I said I was going to do. And it was interesting for sure, man. I enjoyed it a lot.
I also want to get an idea of, doing something for X many weeks. A lot of the times you get the vibe of like an Ultimate Fighter sort of a thing because there's a commitment. Sure, you don't live in a house, but it's always having a presence for a certain number of weeks. It's going into my world, being on TV. What did that experience feel like to you to have something that you knew you were going to have a little bit of internet TV time every single week to showcase your art?
Man, I made some cool friends while I was back there. We really had that, like you said, like that Ultimate Fighter type vibe. Like we ended up bonding and spending more time with each other than people normally do at any other type of tournament or anything else you see. So I got to know quite a few of them pretty good and become good friends with them. And then, like you had your cliques too. So like it was so weird. It's just like human behavior and like just like how we've always been. It's just like right off the bat, you see how the cliques were formed and like who they were formed around and who talked to each other and who didn't. Overall, everybody was really, really cool with each other, but you could tell that everybody had split off into their little cliques. And who knows what everybody was talking about behind closed doors, because like there wasn't much filming of like us hanging out, but there was a lot of talking going on. There was a lot of conversation between different people about other people and stuff like that. So it was cool, man.
It seems like there's almost a show behind the show that we maybe didn't get to see, but maybe in future seasons we might.
No doubt, man. Me and BMAC have been plotting real hard, man. Like this is gonna be the WWE of grappling, but with real grappling.
Hold on, it's like, let's be very clear. Y'all have to clear that through me. And here's the reason why. I have worked for years, and Brandon knows this. Brandon's participated in a few of my genius ideas here, but we have dedicated a portion of our lives for the past 6 years to a segment called WWE BJJ. And if he is going to take any of the intellectual property, that money is coming straight back this way. So I would caution you on the phraseology, sir.
That's funny. I did not know you did anything like that. You'll have to send me a link to some of that stuff. I'd love to watch it.
Oh, bro, man, here's the thing.
I really I love the idea. Go ahead.
Oh, no. The reason why I bring it up, and sorry to interrupt, but the reason is very clear, is that Brandon's participated in those videos. So ages ago, it all started with me saying, hey, man, I grew up loving professional wrestling, and I would have somebody put me in an armbar. And I was like, well, if I touch the wall mat, you got to let go, right? Like, I feel like that's a fair thing. That's a rope break, dude. You can't do that. And, if I ever put somebody in an omoplata, I was like, this is essentially a crippler crossface. Like, why don't I do this? And people go, if you do that, you will not have friends in any training room. And I said, okay, understood. So
is this in a pro wrestling room?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just in our jiu-jitsu room. And I just always said, like, if somebody teaches a move, I could always come up with the pro wrestling variation of that move. And so people started saying, they're like, I'm not afraid of your Kimura, your armbar, any of that, Raph. I'm actually afraid you're going to put me in a Boston Crab. I am more nervous about that happening than literally anything in the world. So, that's
funny.
I will do it occasionally to fans of professional wrestling or goofballs if they're getting lazy, but like to civilians who've never watched it or don't care, I never bring it up. But every once in a while I was like, I'll pull it out and they'll be like, did you just put me in a figure four? And I'm like, yes, it's also a heel hook at this point, so you're gonna pick your poison here. But yes, I think that's great to have some theatricality to it, because Brandon is so good at doing the commentating, but I feel like in order to get attention, you always have to have a little bit of secret sauce to get people really interested. So I'm all about that life, man.
Dude, absolutely, man. I think we're gonna build like good drama. That's gonna be like the main thing of it. But with like people got to be in on the drama too. You know, it can't be like a real drama situation, but there has to be like that little thing in the back of everybody's head. Like, we know this is real, and well, the grappling's real at least, but we know like what we're doing here is to promote and make some drama happen and get people interested and want to watch, you know?
I mean, I'm seeing it a little bit more and more in the way that you're doing your social media. You know, I mean, you got a little swag to you, and I appreciate it. And again, as a pro wrestling fan, I kind of
not to sound conceited or anything. I think my Instagram should be way bigger than it is, man. Especially if you like watch my comments, man. I think just if people seen like what I commented on stuff, man, I comment on Gordon shit every day, dude. I'm constantly telling them I want them to start an OnlyFans, and I've been commenting on Gordon stuff that if I beat him in a no-gi no time limit match, that he has to give me the discount code to Sonny's OnlyFans.
I mean, you know what, dude? It's funny, and I think that's the nice part, because don't forget, that's how Gordon essentially talked his way into getting higher profile matches. So
no doubt, man. I really don't know anybody doing it like me. Like Gordon did it, and like now I'm doing it. Like I think there's a lot of people out there that like are good enough to face Gordon, but they won't go after him. I'm probably not even in the top 100 of no-gi grapplers in the United States, but I'm gonna get hype and attention behind me to where people want to watch me face Gordon. That's a fact. I've got some momentum behind me, and I just don't think anything's going to stop me from getting there now.
That's what's up. I mean, again, it's got to be that perfect belief in self. I'm not interested in grapplers who aren't believing in themselves. At a certain point, I'm going to be like, what am I going to do with you?
I'm going to beat Gordon. He can watch this. He'll know who I am, but I'm going to beat him. And I truly believe that, because I don't think there's maybe but 10 people on this planet who really think that they can beat him. I think there's more people on this planet that can beat him if they tried. But there's probably only 10 people on this planet that think they can, and I'm one of those motherfuckers.
That's what's up. All right, let's continue this on right now. We talked a little bit about that. You've also mentioned to me that you will be doing the return of PGF, and that is 225 and under. So when is that going to start recording, and how did that come about for you?
I think it starts in the end of January, maybe the last week of January is when they're going to do the combine, and that's when they like get together and get stats on you. And then I think the first week of it is in February. But man, I mean, as soon as Brandon said he was doing a 225 afterwards, when I came into the PGF, I was walking around at like 201, 202, 203 even, and making that cut to 194.1 every week. It was real easy for me. I can fluctuate weight down like that real easy. And but as soon as he said something about 225 and under, man, I was like, I'm taking that money too. He was talking about it was like a few weeks into the season, he said that at the finale he was going to do that 4-man tournament to crown the 225 champ. And I immediately, when he just told me about it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. And he's like, oh no, you can't do it. I was like, what the fuck do you mean I can't do it? He's like, you're competing that night. And I was like, so? I was like, crown me the double champ. But he wouldn't let me. So.
Well, here's the good news. That's a good compromise. So now you get the opportunity to do something even more fun and more highlights to follow, I guess, in the second season, you know?
No doubt. And the number one thing is that there's just even more like, there's going to be more hate, because I'm going to talk shit the whole season. And especially leading up before the season even starts, I'm talking shit. And there's just going to be a lot of haters that are like, Elijah can't take these 225ers. There's going to be a few bigger names in it. Jiu-Jitsu might come. You know, I've been calling out Daniel O'Brien forever. He might show up. There's going to be some bigger names in it, and it's just going to be a lot of hate and doubt. And I'm going to absolutely run through everybody I get my hands on. So it's going to be fun.
I mean, you kind of nicknamed yourself the bad guy. Is that some kind of moniker? And how long have you been this guy? Did you always grow up being this guy to kind of present yourself with new challenges? Because to me, you're wonderfully nice, but I'm not competing against you. So I'm just curious where this comes from.
Dude, you know, I'm almost good friends with just about everybody I've ever competed with, man. We're always cool. And Brandon really started like throwing the nickname to me. And it's just like you said, my social media, man, I fucking troll people and I talk a lot of shit, but it's definitely nothing but mad respect at the end of the day. But I've just been that guy that, whether people like to admit it or not, they hate that they love to see me win. Like it's just been that way for a minute. Just had a lot of hate for a long time, and it's just, I don't know, it just fit me really well. As soon as he started calling me the bad guy, I love it. I think the mustache, especially when I compete, that definitely plays a role in it. People fucking hate the mustache, man.
Really?
They do. People tell me all the time, they're like, you should shave that. I don't like it at all. And I'm like, that just like encourages me to do it more. Even women will be like, shave it. And I'm like, fuck you.
Well, good. I mean, I'm glad that's the conversation that happens. It may explain a few things. I would say to you this, because you mentioned that you have an online presence, and there was one thing that jumped out at me, and I think this is visual, so people who listen to the audio version may not get it. I need you to kind of narrate what it is that I'm about to put on here. So this now will go to you, sir.
God.
So will you narrate what exactly is in, I don't know, the lower corner of the ab section in a tattoo form on your body?
Oh man, I got that tattoo when I was I had just turned 17. I was working at Taco Bell, and one of my dumbass friends, he came through the drive-thru and was like, I told him it was my birthday, and he was like, dude, let me give you a free tattoo for your birthday. And I was like, shit, okay, cool. And after I got off work, I went over to his house, and I had this other idea I was going to get on my shoulder. And he told me I could look through his book while he was getting his stuff together to like get his gun ready and stuff. And I seen that, and I was trying to get a much smaller version of it on my chest. And he was like, nah, dude, let's do it really big on your side, on your ribs. And I was like, he somehow talked me into it. I was probably really high. And yeah, it's a naked stormtrooper, man. Honestly, the dude's not any good at tattoos either, so it's kind of fucked up.
I was just astounded that it's a thing that exists, because at first I thought, am I just seeing that? Like, have I watched Star Wars too many times that now I'm just putting tattoos on random people? And I said, no, that's the real thing I'm seeing in front of me. So I guess the answer is, are you a Star Wars fan? Is that way it spoke out to you?
I'm not any kind of like super hardcore Star Wars fan or anything, but I do like Star Wars. I enjoy it. I'm not a geek about it. I don't know a fuck ton about it, but I do enjoy the Star Wars theme and the movies and stuff.
Okay, well, I guess that's a good start. I just felt for you.
I mean, I like Star Wars and I like naked chicks, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a very confusing thing for, you know, a Star Wars stormtrooper to then be there, because I guess the thing is that, you know, if something happens with them just based on the way they look, they're going to miss wherever they're shooting. So
that whole picture is a vibe, though, man. You would be astonished at how many people like will see my tattoo and be like, "Oh shit, I've seen that before." Or show me a picture, be like, "Oh, look at this picture. It's just another naked girl with some kind of Star Wars helmet on." It's not always the same, but people make stickers of it and stuff.
Yes,
I've seen it like countless amounts of times, and I'm like, "Oh, that's super cool."
Well, I mean, it puts you into elite company here, sir. So I definitely had a good laugh at it when I saw it. I was like, you know what? I can't give this kid too much shit about that. I might be able to give you some shit about something else here. And this is something that I expected better of you. So please narrate what's going on in this video so that people who are listening to this on the audio version kind of know.
I think I know what you're about to put up here, but okay.
You know what I'm about to put up here? Okay. So please tell people.
Yeah, I knew you were about to put that up there. Because I spilt it, yeah. That's me and my buddy Billy Swanson. He's a pro MMA fighter around here. That's me and him shotgunning either White Claws or Trulies. Maybe White Claws. I've really never been a big shotgunner.
I was going to ask you, have you ever shotgun a beer before?
Yeah, not really, man. That was probably one of my first, maybe when I was younger. I've never been a big beer drinker, but I did really get into the seltzers when quarantine started. Maybe a little bit before quarantine, but around quarantine and when it started hitting spring, I just really got into those seltzers. Me and my buddy were drinking a bunch of them. We were just fucked up at the pool one day. We were like, hey, it's White Claw. Let's shotgun a White Claw and video it.
Well, bless your souls. I'm glad that you guys get the opportunity to be the coolest white girls in the crowd.
Oh, man, yeah. Dude, he's actually he's a bad guy too, man. Me and him are really going to start branding ourselves because he trains with me every day. We're actually probably about to open a gym together down the probably 25 minutes down the road from my gym right now, kind of in his neck of the woods. And yeah, we're really going to start advertising us as the bad guys. I think me and BMAC are actually going to start some gear, like apparel stuff, and really start branding me and him as the bad guys.
Good for you,
That's
man.
what we just are, man. We're the bad guys, dude. We like to get fucked up and go compete the next day or go train the next day. We just like to have a good time.
Well, Elijah, how old are you?
25.
Yeah, all right. You can still do that for a few years. After a while, it's a little harder to do that.
Oh, it's definitely getting harder to do, man. Just here in the last year, it's definitely been weighing on me heavier. I'm like, God damn, I'm feeling beat.
Yeah, I hate to tell you as the ghost of Christmas future, but, some shit's going to happen in the future that's going to make competing the next day a little bit harder. Let's talk about this. Speaking of competing in hard situations, you were competing over at the Sapateiro. Tell me a little bit about that experience, sir.
It's probably my fourth or fifth time going and competing with Josh down there. But I always love it because Josh and I are really good friends. And had been helping me run my social media a little bit and give me advice and helping me get on some bigger stuff. And it's always a pleasure to go do stuff with Josh. Like I told myself after the PGF was over, I wasn't going to compete till the next season because I've had a hurt shoulder. And I'm just on the internet on Wednesday, and I see Brian Brown, 10th Planet Jacksonville, post something about Josh needing a 185-pounder for a match with a black belt. And I was just like, I'll take it. Fuck it. And drove down there Friday morning and competed Saturday. And then I taught a seminar at Josh's school the next day. And it was just a blast. I always enjoy being down there in Tampa with my boy.
Good for you, man. And can I pitch something real quick? Because I think I figured out what to do with your tattoo. What you should do is you should take a picture with the tattoo next to Josh LeDuc, because he's about as close as we're going to get to a Jabba the Hutt lookalike. So at the very least, you get two of those images superimposed together.
That's hysterical, man. I hope Josh is watching. He's a bitch.
I mean, here's the thing. What's he going to do about it?
This is my roommate, Brandon. This is my wrestling coach. He says, fuck Josh, too.
Oh, absolutely. We just became instant friends, sir. So I'm glad that's what you have to say about him.
He went down to Sapateiro this weekend with me, and I just gave him his blue belt last week. A week ago today, last Monday. And he went down and did a 140 or 170 pound bracket. He's only like 145 or 150, but he went and did a 170 pound bracket. His first match was against this really good purple belt. He lost to him by armbar, and then he won his second match for third against one of Josh's guys. But so I was coaching him, and Josh was coaching his dude in that last match. And Josh was just talking shit the whole time, and Brandon ended up subbing him with a mounted triangle. Something I taught him. And as soon as he got up, he turned around and flipped Josh off. It's like, fuck you, dude. I was like, yes. My first words I ever spoke to Josh, I was at a 170-pound tournament at Brian Brown's gym in Jacksonville probably like 3 years ago. And I was in the middle of a match with one of his dudes, Werther, who he fucks with a lot. And he was really close to me, and he was like coaching Werther, telling him some shit. And he was like talking shit about me, like saying he's doing bad at this, get him with this. And I just like turned around and I was like, shut the fuck up, Chris Pratt. And like, we were like best friends immediately. Right after that, me and him had just been cool.
That's great, man. Yeah, I mean, Josh and I, we do a whole bunch of, stuff together via video where I'll do interviews, and many times he likes to kind of credit himself as a co-host of my show, and I say, you don't have any talent, so I need someone, if they're going to take responsibility for the show, to have talent. You provide nothing that I couldn't pay a bum off the street to do. So, if you really want to make sure that you close that joke, make sure you tell him you're like Chris Pratt if he just gave up in life. Because that's really what
I call him Tubby Chris Pratt. This is his name. Shut the fuck up, Tubby Chris Pratt.
Well, I just wanted to start going back because I want to get to the little bit of the origin story for you. You mentioned, wrestling's been coming together now, but that you didn't really start off with that. Where does the martial arts journey begin for you, sir?
It started in my attic. I pretty much lived in an attic growing up. My whole life it's like carpeted. I mean, most of the time it was like me and my brother up there, but just a big kind of open area with carpet. And me and my buddies, I was probably in like 8th grade. We were just watching UFC, and like we started doing jiu-jitsu on our carpet up there. And I probably did that for a solid year just with my buddies, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And then my older brother, Zane, he was in high school, and the high school resource officer there was like a purple or a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and he would have little classes like once or twice a week after school, and then on the weekends. And it wasn't even really classes. It was like we would all get together and stretch in a circle, and then we would roll. He wouldn't really show much. We were just rolling kind of. And so my brother brought me with him, and that's I was probably 13, 14 when I first met Stacy Meeks. He's a black belt under Higa Machado now. Him and Matt Harris met them, and I probably did jiu-jitsu with them so I was 13 or 14, probably till I was about 17, maybe. And I quit for a year or two and came back when I was like 19. And when I came back, they had opened a gym. So beforehand, there was no gym. It was us meeting at an old high school in town and using some old wrestling mats that they had stored away. And when I got back into it, they had opened a gym across the street from a business that I had opened with my buddy. I actually opened a vape store. So I was selling like liquid and devices and stuff. And they opened a gym right across the street from me. And I was like, oh, I have no reason not to be training now. I had like not trained in like 2 years. And I was like, I have no reason at all not to be training. He's right across the street from me, and they have an actual gym. And so I got back in it, and I stuck with it ever since.
Let's stick on this. Why did you end up taking a break?
I was a young kid. I was partying. Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was smoking a lot of weed, partying a lot.
So then that follows to the next question, which is what brought you back?
I mean, I always had a passion for it. I just like kind of strayed off. And then when it was just right across the street from my business, it was just boom. I actually fell back in love with it because I'd never trained in the gi before, because it was beforehand. It was all no gi. And I honestly didn't even know what a gi was. I'd never heard of a gi. And then when they moved that gym across the street from my business, they were doing gi jiu-jitsu, and I was just like so intrigued by it. I was like, what the fuck is this? I've been doing jiu-jitsu forever and didn't even realize people did it in a gi. And so I put on the gi and fell in love with it. And within like 3 or 4 months of training with them, they gave me my blue belt. And then I just went hardcore as a blue belt. I competed. I might be over exaggerating, but I might have had 200 matches when I was a blue belt. I was traveling everywhere to do like Alabama tournaments, Georgia tournaments, any NAGA, New Breed, AGF, anything I could find. I'd enter every bracket I could. I'd even borrow upper belts from one of my coaches so I could go enter higher divisions because I was just scrubbing blue belts. They would like hand me a purple belt and just like let me put it on and go compete. And
did anybody ever catch you with that though? Like, did anybody ever stop and go, "Why is this blue belt wearing a purple belt? He was just a blue belt maybe a week ago."
No, actually, I never got caught. Only time I ever had trouble is I had brought the purple belt with me, and I didn't put it on. I just kept my blue belt on, and I'd entered a purple belt division. And as soon as we step on the mats, my competitor was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, he's a blue belt." And then the dude came over there and like, I guess it was the owner of the tournament. He's like, "You can't be doing that." And I was like, and it was just kind of stupid. So he didn't let me do it. I had to go into the blue belt division, which I scrubbed everybody. I was like, you should have just let me enter the purple belt division. It would have been better.
I mean, I like that. I like the fact that at a very, very early part of your jiu-jitsu career, you're already looking for those extra opportunities. I think it makes sense that you would take every opportunity thrown at you for the PGF. I do want to ask you this, though. At what point do you decide this is going to be the career? Because if you've already started with the entrepreneurial business at a very young age, to really make the transition into doing jiu-jitsu full-time is a choice. You know, you don't get the spoils of other sports where you make money in a huge way. So there has to be a huge passion for it. At what point do you know that passion exists?
I'm not sure when it clicked that I wanted to quit trying to make money elsewhere and just open. Are you talking about opening a gym or just like grappling in general, just like trying to make it off that?
Both, because I like the idea that grapplers do it as a hobby and still pursue other stuff outside of it. But there becomes a moment where you say, okay, not only am I going to go compete as much as I can, but maybe I'm going to have a gym. Maybe I'm going to be an instructor. Maybe I'm going to, do privates and seminars and that sort of thing. And that's going to be more of my income than making it elsewhere.
Yeah. So I started back jiu-jitsu with them in the gi when I was like 17. Maybe I think I quit or no. I started back with them when I was like either 18 or 19, and I trained with them for like a year or two. I was 20 when I moved out to Oregon. So trained with them for a little bit, maybe a year and a half or something. And when right after I turned 20, I had a friend that asked me if I wanted to go out for the summer and work on this weed farm. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I am. I was actually about to start college here in Tennessee. I was going to go get an outdoor education degree. And one of my coaches, Matt Harris, he like the dean of this college had owed him a favor for something. Cause my buddy Matt is like high up in the education system, or he was high up in the education system in the area. And, he had me a full ride scholarship to this college, and I was about to go there. I was about to dedicate and sign paperwork and stuff and get enrolled in there. And then I decided to move out to Oregon and work on this weed farm instead. But I was so excited to go work on this weed farm. I didn't even look up any jiu-jitsu places before I moved out there to see if there was anything out there. I was just like, there's got to be jiu-jitsu out there. I didn't even look into it hardcore. But when I moved there, a city called Grants Pass, I was like 35, 40 minutes away from. There's a 10th Planet gym there, Andrew Alexander. And I really took it to the next level right there. Before I had moved out to Oregon, I was traveling a little bit and training with BMAC. And I had met Sean Applegate a few times at some tournaments. And I was on his shit, like studying his stuff and talking to him a lot. And then I moved out there and got linked up with Andrew and just really upped my game out there, man. I was able to grapple with them like really consistently for 2.5, 3 years while I was out there, living out there. And they had a real big gym, just a lot of competitors in there. And I just got a lot of roles and learned a lot of really good shit from Andrew. and started beating some good people. And I knew around that time, it was like, so I moved out there when I was still a blue belt, and I came back for a few months when it wasn't season, and had gotten promoted to purple belt from my gym out here. And then when I moved back there, I just got all these opportunities to grapple some better people because I had a purple belt. You know, nobody really wanted to fight a blue belt, but Andrew ended up getting me on Submission Underground. Fuck those guys. I'll go ahead and say that, by the way. They won't get me back on there. I've got 2 wins on there. But anyway, yeah, Andrew got me on Sug. Had a match. I beat Eddie Jamrog. He's a really good Henzo Gracie, either brown belt or black belt in the Portland area. Then I had a match with Riley, some Riley dude. He was a brown belt. But I had 2 good matches on there. Won both of them. They won't hit me back up. They won't get me back on the show. But right around that time, man, I got my purple belt, got into some cool tournaments and some good promotions. And then I ended up beating Bill. I think I was a purple belt for about a year. And I ended up beating Bill Cooper at a Kumite in Houston, Texas. I was like a last minute replacement. I had been home from Oregon for the winter, and I was about to head back out there. I was driving back out there, and one of my buddies sent me a link and showed me a Kumite post that someone had just dropped out of this 190-pound Kumite, and I was already driving through that area, and I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And so last minute replacement, went and did it. Ended up beating Bill Cooper in it. He ended up winning the tournament because it was round robin. So I won my first bracket, and there were 4 different brackets, I think, and all the brackets were round robin. And then me and 3 other people, Bill Cooper, Vince Barboza, and some other dude, all went to the finals bracket, and I beat Bill Cooper in the first match in 27 seconds. And then I got beat by the other 2 dudes, but he beat those 2 dudes. So he ended up winning the tournament. But I beat Bill Cooper that day, and then I didn't even know who Bill Cooper was, honestly. It was funny. My buddy was like telling me when we got there, he was like, that's Bill Cooper. And I was like, who's Bill Cooper? And since then, man, I really just I took it to the next level. I was like, okay, I'm good at this shit. Like, let's do this.
That's pretty dope, man. Good for you. And I like hearing those journeys because, you know, I can tell you so many 10th Planet people have the weed farm story. You just look at them and you say, you hooligans with your, you know, and the, you know.
Yeah, but you're in LA, bro. You know about that, man. Everybody smokes weed.
I mean, let's put it this way. One of the guys who I work with now, just very casually was telling us, he's like, yeah, I do weed. You know, I don't do anything crazy anymore. Cocaine was a long time ago. And I was like, bro, I'm eating lunch, man. Like, I didn't know that this was going to be the conversation we were having here, but here we are. So yes, a lot of people have stories like that. I would tell you this, though. I think it's perfectly great that you found that calling, and obviously between people like Andrew Alexander, he's good people, but fuck him. Brandon McCatherine, amazing people, but fuck him too. Just amazing people that you're around, that you've taken these opportunities, and more importantly, you stepped to the plate when it mattered, man. So I think that's great, and I'm glad you're doing what your passion is. And it sounds like big things are to come, because I didn't know that you were in Tennessee exactly. I couldn't pinpoint it, but when I did live out in Kentucky for a few years, I made many trips out to Nashville, and I very much appreciated my time there. So
yeah, man, I'm in Chattanooga. It's
sweet.
Kind of right in between. Well, it's like a triangle, actually. North and east of me is Knoxville, and then west of there is Nashville, and then I'm below that. But I love this area.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's a great area, and I do miss it on occasion, because I had many great times over.
And you know my boy Sean Applegate, man. He moved up from Gulf Shores, Alabama, to Kennesaw, which is like North Atlanta, the Marietta area. He moved up here like maybe a year and a half ago, and yeah, shout out to Sean Applegate. He is the fucking man. I think he is one of the most brilliant minds in jiu-jitsu today, and I'm blessed to be able to be at his gym once a week.
That's what's up. All right, dude. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I feel like this is something that we're going to see you do a bit, but I'm going to give you the floor right now to say whatever you want. Normally, I tell people to plug their sponsors or plug their next match or whoever they want to shout out, but I realize there's a value in letting you talk, because if you're the bad guy, I want to be able to see what you do with the floor. So, sir, floor is all yours. Shout out, do whatever you want.
I've only got one sponsor at the moment, Matt Viper. He's been sponsoring me since the beginning of PGF. Shout out to him. Thank you. I'll call out Daniel O'Brien again because he's frustrating. He's been ignoring me, telling me I wasn't worth his time for a minute, but he should show up to the PGF. But I don't think he will. So shout out to him too. Show up at the PGF, get wrecked. Other than that, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's cool that people know who I am. I was that guy when I first started jiu-jitsu, even when I started getting good, that I wasn't on the social media. I didn't know who people were. Like I said, I beat Bill Cooper and I didn't know who he was. But now I'm on the social media and people know who I am. I get messages from fanboys all the time. It's kind of a little weird, but it's super cool that people know who I am and getting me on some podcasts. I appreciate it. Just climbing, man. Just like step after step, we're getting there.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I mean, it's a reflection of your work, not mine. I just watch matches and I always get really hype. And like I said, dude, when I knew Brandon was putting something together, I got so happy because I know he's always working on the next thing. I think that he is not only one of the nicest guys, but he's one of the most driven guys in jiu-jitsu, and he deserves all of his success. So when you get to see stuff like that and you get these opportunities for folks like you who may not have every single tournament coming out to the South, you make those opportunities, and with his reach, you get expanded opportunities for more people to see your jiu-jitsu. So that makes me super happy. And
yeah, no, absolutely.
Getting the chat here is just the extra special bonus.
Shout out to BMAC too, man. He's been a blessing. Him and Sean Applegate have stuck with me like through thick and thin. When I wasn't on top of my game and like living right and training like I should have been and seeing them like I should be, and not acting right. You know, they've stuck there with me and helped me get to where I'm at today. And I feel like I've made a major leap in the last year. And I think there's only better things to come from that. Everybody watching, I'm up for seminars. I'll come wherever in the country. I'll do it for next to nothing too. I'd love to start teaching some more seminars and get my name out there. I feel like I've got some really good stuff to teach between my reverse De La Riva game, my triangle game from reverse De La Riva, some of my passing, my leg locks. I feel like I've got a good little well-rounded game to teach people. And I hope to be able to do lots more in the future.
You hear that, people? Buy low, sell high. Get him now while he's available.
Dude, absolutely,
you guys can't get him now. He's going to be too expensive in a few years if he keeps winning all these PGFs. So get him while you can, my friends.
Hell yeah, man.
All right. Well, here's what we're going to do, man. Elijah, I'm going to close this bitch up. I'm going to say hi to you off air. I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Big congratulations on a wonderful season this year for PGF. I think that you made some really, really fun moments on the show, and do respect what you're putting out there, man. So big ups to you, bud.
Thank you very much, homie.
All right. So our thanks to Elijah. Before we get on out of here, a couple quick reminders. Number one, come find us this weekend. We are doing a live stream for the Khabib and Justin Gaethje fight. That's starting at 11 a.m. Best Coast time. That's right. It is early. That is the main card. That's not the prelims. That's the main card at 11 a.m. So we're going to do a fight companion. We're going to have a panel. We're going to do some fun stuff. If you haven't checked out the latest Verbal Tap, what's wrong with you? 432, we've got Keith Krikorian and Dan Tom giving you their predictions at a game of over under Kevin without Kevin. One last thing to remind you guys, give us some love on social media at Grappling Hour and at Verbal Tap Cast on all of the major platforms. We're talking YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, Twitter, and the Instagrams. And if you would do us a solid for both Verbal Tap and for Grappling Hour, go to Spotify, give us a follow there, and on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review. 5 stars. That's all we ask of you guys. It's a lot of free content. And before I get you on out of here, one last note before I say goodbye. I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is always a blast to talk with you. We'll have another episode of Grappling Hour next week. But until then, it's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats eventually.